this one is critical in today's world. Everybody's at least familiar with LinkedIn. Very few people come close to optimizing their LinkedIn profile, which is extremely important when you're in job search. As Brenda said, she's been here before. She was sad, and now she's here giving back, and is going to enlighten you on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile.
So I'm going to say hi to Facebook land for anybody watching live. I don't think we have anybody watching live. I am excited to be back here, and I was, like I said, about 2 years ago, for those of you who walked in a few minutes late, I was in your seats. I went through a career transition, which was a little unexpected, but I made some choices on my timeline, and I'm really proud about the choices that I made. And while I was looking for my next position, I started having some project work start coming to me, and I wasn't really trying, and I said, well, hold on, if I start putting enough of these pieces together, I could probably stay on my own. So I remember being in the room, and I remember the sheet being passed around, and there was a couple other people who worked in marketing who were here, and I was like, oh my gosh, those are my competition. I don't want to talk to them because I want the same jobs they want. And there was a woman who was here at the same meeting with me. Her name was Amanda, and it was a speed networking, so we kind of rotated around, and we had to talk to each other. And we immediately clicked, personality-wise and everything. She was in product marketing, I was more brand marketing, so it wasn't even a competition. And I ended up finding I had a position that came to me that I wasn't a good fit for, and I referred her, and she got the job because of that. So I love the way that you guys are already kind of sharing resources and helping each other. That's what this is all about. If we all work together, it's going to make the whole process a lot easier and quicker. As we're in transition or on hiatus or whatever you want to call it. And I made the decision to stay full-time on my own. Been really working hard on my business, and I don't know if you saw the back of my hoodie. You haven't gone this far to only go this far. It's like one of my mantras. And I also recently promoted myself to CEO. I'm taking my jacket off because I'm a little bit warm. So, I'm excited to be here today and to share this knowledge with you about how to really optimize LinkedIn for your job search. So if you have your laptops, pull it open now with your LinkedIn profile opened up. A part of this will be me talking, and then a part of this will be you going hands-on, working on your profile. I do want it to be somewhat interactive, so if you have questions, raise your hand. During the recorded session, we'll be capturing that audio. At the end, I'll stop the camera, and then if you have any additional questions you'd like to ask, those won't be on there. But the good thing about this being recorded is if you'd like to watch the playback, I'll have the link. It will be on Meller Marketing on Facebook, and I'll also send to Mark and Priscilla a YouTube link where you can watch it as a playback, okay? Because I do talk fast. We will have a lot of information to cover, but I want to try to fit as much as we can into the hour. Does that sound okay? All right. So kind of getting started, the agenda on this screen, we'll start with some overview and reminders, a little bit about your settings, profile, we'll talk about posting, using LinkedIn for job search, and we'll address some of the obvious and then maybe some of the not so obvious techniques along the line there. We'll do invitations to connect, and we'll practice a technique that will help to get more of those invitations accepted and to start to build some more dialogue. So we'll practice that here today. And then I'll end with some final thoughts, and I'll give you some homework. Optional if you like to do the homework, but I like to make these things actionable. Don't just sit here and listen to it, but I'll give you some things to work on to help you use on LinkedIn, okay? And if you don't have your laptop, but you have your phone, you can follow along there too. Some of the techniques I'll be sharing, we won't be able to do on the app on LinkedIn. You'll have to do it in the mobile version, but you can at least look at your profile as we're going along in there. So I love this cartoon because I think it does a good job of reminding us that you're not going to get a lot out of LinkedIn if you're just this anonymous person who's sitting in the background. You're really going to get the most out of LinkedIn as you're using it. And as we think about LinkedIn as a network, it's constantly evolving. What we see on LinkedIn today may be a little bit different next week because they're always adding different features in there. And you're going to have a different comfort level than I'm going to have, than Rick, and then Bridget. Everybody's going to be a little bit different in how they use LinkedIn. But my hope is that what I'll be sharing with you today, that you'll listen, learn, and ultimately decide for yourself which of the techniques you'll put into place. Okay? So we all know that LinkedIn is a professional networking site, and what makes it a little bit different than some of the other sites that are out there is that LinkedIn is purely professional. So whereas Facebook, we have social in business, and Twitter social in business, and Instagram's kind of both, LinkedIn is purely professional, okay? LinkedIn is not just a job search site, and it is not primarily used by job seekers. It's primarily used by people who are working professionals. Okay? So my advice for all of you, when you do land that next position, not if, when, because I believe in all of you, you will land your next position. Stay active on LinkedIn and use it as a networking tool throughout your career. Okay? Right now, they're up to 645 million members in just about every industry in 200 countries across the globe, and very, very widely used. I've been on LinkedIn since 2006. If you're curious how you've been on LinkedIn, you can go into your privacy and settings and it shows you that information. All right, so let's start actually with your privacy and settings right now. So what I want you to do is in the upper right-hand corner, if you're on your laptop, in the upper right-hand corner, under your Me icon, click on that Me icon right now. And then under that, you're going to see a link that says privacy or settings and privacy. So if you could click on settings and privacy, okay? And the first thing I want you to do is click on the account tab. So the very first area that says account, okay? I'm just going to show you a couple of things in here and then we'll go into your profile. So under account, I want you to click on login and security and the very first area that says email addresses. Are you guys seeing this? Email addresses? So click to expand that out where it says change. You'll click to expand that list out. And just let's take a quick look at those right now, okay? So the one thing I would say is if you have changed jobs, you're no longer at your employer, make sure that your employer is not the email address that is listed there. Because if recruiters are trying to get a hold of you and they're sending it to your old job, guess what? You're not getting those messages, okay? So the one email that you have designated as primary, that's the email address that we can see on your account, okay? The other thing I would offer to all of you is think about what your email address looks like. It should be kind of professionally social, if you will, and it should also demonstrate that you're contemporary. So if anybody has like an AOL email address or a Hotmail, I would recommend you change that to a Gmail address. The reason being, AOL and Hotmail, I don't think you can even get those anymore. Those email addresses are now 10 to 15 years old, and it just sends a subtle message about are you keeping current with technology, okay? Somebody said that to me, and I was like, wow, that hurt a little bit. I'm like, but it makes sense. I had a Hotmail. I've converted over. I'm on a Gmail email address now. Okay? So make sure that we change that. Make sure that primary is your personal, that you've taken off your employer emails on there. Okay? Moving along, I want you to click on privacy next. Was there a question about the email?
Yeah, is that the one it says when you click on a profile, if you're trying to contact them and you have to click to say more contact information, is that the email that pops up or is it a different one?
Yes. So the question was, where does that email show? Under the person's profile, if you're connected with them and you click on see contact info, that's where that email will show. So the one that is designated as primary, there's only one, and that's the one that's viewable by your connections. Okay? Good question. All right, so the next tab, let's click on privacy now. And the section that says how others see your profile and network information. Are you all seeing this under privacy? So click on where it says edit your public profile. Okay, we're just going to take a quick peek and make sure you have good visibility for yourself here on LinkedIn. So click on change there, and it's going to take you to a screen that looks something like this, where this is what the public sees on your profile. Are you guys seeing this? Okay. So what I want you to do first is in the upper right-hand corner, look at your LinkedIn URL address. So if it says something like linkedin.com/in/Brenda Meller ZX238Q8Y, does it have gobbledygook at the end of it? Does anybody have numbers at the end of theirs? Okay. So if you do, click on the pencil icon. It's going to pop you to another page. I don't think I have this in here. No, I don't have this in it. It's going to take you to another page where you can edit your URL, and the only thing that you can clean up is like the last past the last slash. So basically go in there and delete out all the gobbledygook numbers, take out the dash between your first and last name, and that basically makes a simplified URL on LinkedIn. Okay? And then once you've done that, save. Now if you're a John Smith, you might have to put Q in the middle, John Q Smith or John Smith MI, something like that, but try to simplify that URL, that email address. Once you've done that, let me finish this and I'll take your question. Once you have simplified your email, your URL on LinkedIn, a couple things I would recommend. Now first, when I was in career transition, I created one of these just generic business cards. Do you all have one of these yet? Okay, highly recommend. If you don't, get them through Vistaprint, order a small quantity, because you will print them and you'll go, oh, I forgot something. And then you'll have to reprint them again. I chose to do mine with a photo, and I put marketing leader on the front, and all I put on the back was my LinkedIn URL, my email address, and my cell phone number. That's all I put. So very, very simple. I can carry this with me everywhere I go. I can't carry my resume with me wherever I go. And if you're optimizing your profile, it's kind of like having your resume with you. Okay? There was a hand. Over here?
Yeah, on the previous page.
Yeah.
So when I click on that, should I see?
That's actually kind of below
Okay.
this side area. So let me finish this off
Yeah.
now. So we just looked at our LinkedIn URL, and then, like I said, add that. And what I was showing you here is I would add that into your business card. I would put that into your email footer. I would also put that at the top of your resume. So like, where do we want to use this URL after we've simplified it? Okay, so think about those three things. I'm going to go back now, and we're still in the public settings. And if you were to scroll down, you see a few other areas. One is make sure that your public profile visibility is turned to on. I like to say blue shows us you. So we're looking for maximum visibility for these areas. If you scroll down, you're going to see this other section on here. And the first thing I like to look for is your photo set to public. Okay, so there's three options under your photo. It's only to first-degree connections, your network, all LinkedIn numbers are public. Choose public, because if I'm not connected with you, I can't see your photo. And there's statistics that say if we can't see your photograph on LinkedIn, we're less likely to send you an invitation, we're less likely to accept invitations, and also less likely to look at your profile. Okay? So keep that to maximum visibility. Underneath that, look at all of these other areas and make sure those are toggled to blue. Blue shows us you. If those are hidden, we can't see anything on your profile unless we're connected with you. Okay? So make sure those are all opened up. Does that answer your question?
So yes, it does, because
Okay.
I wasn't on, I was off, so
Okay.
I just did that. Then
Okay.
underneath it, it says, it gives you the option for photo, in your network, there's a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, there's a
that
bunch
I
of
see.
options that are kind of in that area. So what I recommend for profile photo, you have it set to public. That way anybody who is, whether they're on LinkedIn, off LinkedIn, they can see your photo. And if they're connected with you
there
or
it
not,
is.
they can see you.
Okay.
So as you make those changes, is it David?
Yeah.
You can kind of tell, if you toggle things on and off, you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, what do people see. So you can kind of test this out, that view. All right, good so far?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna keep going then. All right, so we added to the email, and then I just showed you here, I put my LinkedIn URL on the top of my resume, also created that business card, because that way it's an easy way for having people look up our profile. So then if our name's a little bit tricky, I mean, Meller is commonly misspelled Mueller or Miller, so it makes it a little bit easier for them to look me up. Okay, we're still under the privacy area. Was there a question?
I had just a comment.
Sure.
I did the Vistaprint thing.
Yeah.
Recommendation if you're going to do it, bump it up one texture. Otherwise, you get kind of papery.
Thinner card?
Yeah.
Good suggestion. I like to make them too where they're white and not shiny, so if people want to write things on them, they're able to do that, but that's a really good point.
Costco does a really good job.
Cost, I mean, you could go to FedEx, Kinko's, and just print them on cardstock and cut them yourself too, depending on what you're looking for. All right, so we're in the privacy area. The next thing I want to look at is under the section that's called job seeking preferences. So scroll down to job seeking preferences and click on let recruiters know you're open to opportunities. Okay? You guys
After
there?
I make the changes, it won't, how do you get back to where you were?
So if you're in that public URL, if
Yeah.
you're in a separate window, just close this.
Go right back to here?
Yeah, just go back to the me icon and settings and
So it
privacy again.
would have saved it.
It's automatically saving it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not a, some of these areas of LinkedIn, there's not like a save button, it
Yeah.
just automates
Yeah, okay.
it. So you're back in settings
Sorry,
and
yeah,
privacy,
yeah.
now we're under privacy. And then we're looking at job seeking preferences. Help you out, toggled you over there. Okay, so we're under privacy, job seeking preferences. Let recruiters know you're open to opportunities. Let's click on change for that. So what happens here is if you have toggled that to open, this now lets recruiters know that you are open to new opportunities. So anybody who is in, let me show you this in the live version because I think it's not showing the screen capture here. What happens here is if I am using the paid version of LinkedIn Recruiter and you have indicated that you're open to new opportunities, you basically are put into a different bucket in my search results and you go to the top of the pile because I see that you're open to new opportunities. Okay? So there's basically, and does anybody have LinkedIn Recruiter here in the room? So there's a couple of recruiters. Anybody know? So basically, my understanding is if LinkedIn Recruiter, when you look at candidates on LinkedIn, when you're pulling up people in search results, they go into three buckets. There's the everybody who came up in the search results. There's the people who are open to new opportunities, which is a smaller list. And then there's they interacted with your company page somehow. So they liked your page, they followed your page, they're interacting with your content. So they're kind of looking at those lists because those are given a little bit more priority attention. Does that make sense? So it's a little bit of visibility. So under privacy, when I clicked on job seeking preferences and let recruiters know I'm open to opportunities, I want to make sure this is toggled to yes. Okay?
Are you gonna
check your connection.
Oh, did it just go out?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you came out of the PowerPoint.
Thank you. No signal.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, let's try this again. So it was let recruiters know you're open, and then I clicked on change. And are you seeing this button underneath that says yes? Are you guys all set to yes?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to LinkedIn, so I'm going to go back to the home page now. They moved this around. They kept everything in one place, and now they split, and I got to go to 2 places for this. So if I go under the Jobs tab in the top menu, so click on that little briefcase, Jobs in the top, and then underneath you see this link that says Career Interests. Okay, we're in Jobs at the top. Did you click on Jobs?
Yeah.
Okay, do you see Career Interests? The top?
Yeah.
Okay? You seeing it? You guys seeing it? Help your neighbors if you're not seeing it. So we got to go back to LinkedIn.com, go back to the home page.
Did you find it?
I don't know why. They used to keep it all here, and now they split it and they put it into 2 different areas. So now we're in Career Interests, so click on Career Interests, and I would recommend you kind of fill this area out. So there's this box in here that says Note to Recruiters. This is only viewable by people who have the paid recruiter version of LinkedIn. Everybody in the world can't see this. So this is almost like a position in marketing leadership where I can be working in a nonprofit organization in Metro Detroit. I'm also open to positions in Chicago and Grand Rapids. Okay? So if I applied for jobs in those areas, they weren't going, well, what's she doing? She's in Detroit. You know, it kind of explained that. Okay, so think about adding that note to recruiters.
Well, where do you?
Are you in the jobs career interest section?
Yeah, not everybody has that screen that you're looking at.
Okay, so are you guys you're under jobs,
Career interests.
career interest, and you're not seeing,
No.
so when we click on, are you seeing career interest?
Yep, yeah,
And you're not
different.
seeing this?
No.
No.
Do you see, is this on? Bless
Nope.
you. Is,
Showing your recruiters you're open is now on your profile.
okay, that's turned to on,
Yep.
and underneath that, you're not seeing no to recruiters?
Wow.
The screen's different.
That's really weird. Remember how in the beginning I said LinkedIn looks a little different and things roll out a little sooner, and sometimes I get features added and sometimes they take features off, so unfortunately I'm not sure why. Now you have an Apple, what do you have?
I have an Apple, and it's just there.
Who is not seeing it? Are you guys all Apples?
No.
No?
Is there a
Figure out why this is
difference,
happening.
Brenda, is there a difference between premium and basic?
It should be everybody is seeing this. This should not be a premium only feature. It
Premium?
should be for everyone. Okay. So I'm going to research this a little bit and I'll see if I can find that out and I'll post it on my LinkedIn later this week. For now, I'm going to keep going. If that's okay in the interest of time? Okay.
Brenda, one quick thing. Like,
Sure.
Before we turn these things on, I mean, I haven't updated my profile for a long time.
Yeah.
So, should I first maybe make it more up to date?
You can do that. You can do whatever you want. What I will say is I would rather have you put it up now and then keep working on your profile and make little changes. And I think that will motivate you to get the changes done faster, as opposed to saying, I'll come back someday and turn that back on. And then a month goes by and you've missed out on potential opportunities in the meantime. That's my personal preference. Do whatever you're comfortable with, though. Okay?
It does, Brenda, when you hit the blue box to go to your profile.
Yep.
Then on that page, it
Yep.
gives you detail about what cities,
Yes.
the same, so
You
it's
see
the
some of
same
that. You're just not
information.
seeing the note to recruiters in yours?
It has only recruiters.
Yes.
As a second section, so it seems like it's slightly different than your view, but
Yeah.
you go ahead.
Okay, we'll
Let's
keep
see.
going. Okay, all right. Yeah, sometimes the features, they add in, they take things out, and unfortunately, they don't notify people like me who are doing these trainings. Like I've had things happen in the middle of a session, I'm showing people a feature, and they're like, I don't see it, and the screen capture's a little bit
So you
different.
can imagine how the rest of us feel.
I know, right? It's a little disorienting.
Yeah.
So those are the things we'll be covering off in privacy and settings. There's more, but I think those are kind of the essential couple things that I like to cover off. as it relates to job seekers. So now we're going to start to focus on modifying your profile on LinkedIn. And one thing I do want to let you guys know, I will make a copy of these slides available. So if you'd like a copy, all I ask is that you message me on LinkedIn, say that you were here in the room, and then I'll send you a link. Does that sound fair? Okay. And with that being said too, what I do for a living is social media and marketing. I'm comfortable if anybody's active. I know there's a couple marketers in the room. If anybody wants to take pictures of either me or what's up on screen, what I will say is I'll send you the link to the slides and then you'll save it somewhere and you won't find it. And you'll be like, where's that checklist that she sent to us? So if you want to take pictures of the screen, you always have your phone with you, so feel free to take pictures of any of the slides that are on here. Okay? So what I'll start with is my suggested profile checklist and kind of walk you through what I'm looking at when I'm kind of scanning through and really optimizing profiles, okay? And the technique I like to think about when I'm optimizing profiles is think in terms of your ideal target audience and what is your next dream job, okay? Everything on your profile should be stacked towards that ideal audience and that ideal dream job, okay? We're not throwing everything in here and hoping that something sticks. We're really trying to be very specific and focus on transferable skills and focus on experiences that help to demonstrate why are you qualified to do what's next, okay? So starting at the very top, LinkedIn gives you two areas for photographs on your account. There's a headshot photo and then there's a header image in the background. Right now I want you to look at your profile photo on LinkedIn. Here's what I look for. Is it pleasant? Is it, and you can be smiling, but at least pleasant to look at, right? Not ominous, like you just were kicked off of a football team or whatever. You want it to be pleasant to look at. I prefer smiling myself. Professional, meaning it's not a selfie. It's not a photo where I see somebody's arm over your shoulder that was cropped out. Sometimes I see gentlemen that will put themselves and their wife in there, and I ask the question once, why do you have your wife? And they say, well, I don't want women to think I'm picking them up on LinkedIn. And I'm like, this is a professional networking site. We're not doing that. So it's just you in the photo. It's not a selfie in a car or anything, like picture in your kitchen, anything like that. And make sure that it looks like you. It's not you from 15 to 20 years ago. Okay? Because it's a little bit jarring when we meet you in person and we're like, whoa, is that your sister or your younger brother, right? So we're going, and I've heard issues of age discrimination. I think, well, they're going to see you in person eventually. Wouldn't you rather put your best face forward and use that for your profile photo, okay? If you don't have a current professional photo, what I would recommend, we all have cameras on our phones nowadays, so the next time you're at a professional networking event, a lot of you are dressed in suits today. So maybe today before you leave, there's a blank wall in the back, have somebody take 5 to 10 photos of you, of your headshot, and find one of those and upload it to your profile, okay? That is better than a photo from 15 years ago, than a photo with somebody's arm cropped out, or darkly lit inside your car or kitchen or anything. Because this is you, this is your professional brand that you're putting out there. You put time and money into your resume, dressing the part for an interview, getting all the preparation done, and then you have a profile photo and people look at it and like, that's not a professional, right? The other thing to look at in your professional headshot photo is the circle that kind of has your face in it. What I look for, from the top of your head to the bottom of your chin, that should take about 50 to 60% of the circle, okay? The reason being, when we're looking at LinkedIn, about half of us are looking at LinkedIn on our phone, so your headshot photo is very, very, very tiny on it. If you've zoomed it in to 50 to 60%, it's a little bit easier for us to see. The other technique, and this is kind of like a marketing psychological thing, the more zoomed in, the more approachable you seem, the more impressive you seem, the more important you seem. The further back you are, the more diminutive, the less important you seem, the less impressive that you seem, okay? So if you want right now, if your headshot photo is from the top down to the waist, you can click on that little pencil icon and you can zoom in on it right now. Like walk right in here, okay? Was there a question? Yes?
Just a comment. I found professional headshot is totally indispensable.
Yes.
Because the hints he gives you, the head position, the lighting, you cannot even approach that with your friend. Even if your friend isn't photographer.
No, what I say is like a amateurish photo with your phone is better than a selfie. You know, I'm looking at levels of,
Yeah.
you know, do you want to invest in it? And there are, I mean, you can go to a JCPenney and get a photo done for, what is it, like 75, 80 bucks nowadays, so that's a professional-ish image, but at minimum, at least try to get something that's a little bit better. You know, certainly if you have the funds to invest in a headshot photographer, I definitely think they're worth it. Yeah, okay. The other thing is behind your headshot, there is a rectangular image. It's called the header image. My guess is probably more than half of you have the teal blue with the dots and the lines, right? Okay, this is an opportunity for you to create some branding for yourself. So ideally, what I look for there is something that aligns with your area of expertise, the industry that you're targeting. So if you're looking for automotive, it should be a picture of cars or automotive or the roads or something along those lines. If you're looking for marketing, it should be kind of some bright type of picture. Maybe there's color effects or something that kind of says marketing is a part of it, okay? What I like to do is, there's a couple of stock photography sites that you can use, and these are free, non-commercial use. You can use them for anything. You don't have to worry about licensing. Pexels.com, Pexels.com. There's another one that's called Unsplash, so Unsplash. I don't think I have it up on here. And then there's another one, I can't remember the third one that I used. But any of those you can search for automotive, blue, sky, mountains, road. I mean, you can pick, you know, technology, engineering, and you can find stock photography to use. That's better than the teal blue with the dots and the lines, okay? If you're employed, I heard there's a handful of consultants in the room, I would recommend you use some branding that aligns with your organization. So what I do is I have this effect that's in the background that mirrors the color spectrum of my website. My brand color is pink. You can see I've got different pink items here in the room as well. So that's kind of what I use, and I promote my upcoming events. I also might think about putting in a LinkedIn tip or a marketing tip or something in there. And just like the side of the billboard that you would see on the side of the expressway, those messages change out every couple weeks, and I would think about updating my header maybe once or twice a year. Okay? Now I'm a marketer, this is what I do for a living. I update mine like once a month. So I'm always changing my messages out of there. Okay? Questions?
Where do you go to change that?
So to change the header image, if you're in your profile right now, do you mind if I look over your shoulder? There is, so you're going to go back into your profile. Go back into the first one. So if you're on your profile, there's a little pencil icon that's like, actually you can see mine up here too. Do I have a pointer on here?
Next to more?
Yeah, right next to the more button, there's a little pencil icon. And then when you click on that pencil icon, there's going to be another pencil icon in the header image at the top.
Or you can just click anywhere in the blue.
You can, yeah.
So I tried putting a picture in there,
Mhm.
and it was like, I couldn't get it to fit right.
The dimensions, yeah.
And it just like looked really weird, so
Yeah.
I freaked out, and I just went back to the blue. I said,
Yeah.
or, the blue is better than a bad picture.
So here, I mean, if you want to create it in the ideal dimensions, they give you, I think it's like 1584 by 396.
Right.
So there's a site that I use, it's free for graphic design, it's called canva.com, canva.com, and you can create an image that's identical to those dimensions, 1584 by 396, upload an image into that, and then I download so that I don't have to worry about getting distorted. Good question.
Yeah, I did that. It still didn't do it right, and I spent so much time on it. I was just like, ah.
Yeah,
So
if you need some help, just message me.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
1584 by 396. I think if you hover over the pencil icon, it tells you those dimensions
Right.
too. Okay? All right. So you guys are going to get rid of the teal, blue, and the dots and lines, right? We're not going to have this talk again, are we? Okay. At minimum, get some clouds or mountains or a road or something, but try to get away from that, that standard kind of template there. All right, your headline, let's talk about that next. So right underneath your name field, there's an area that's called headline. By default, it will say job title at company. Do not use the words unemployed, in career transitions, seeking new opportunities. Don't put any of those words in there. The reason being, if I'm a recruiter, I'm not looking for unemployed, in career transitions, seeking new opportunities. I'm looking for director of marketing. I'm looking for VP of engineering. I'm looking for CFO. I'm looking for keywords. So think about the job titles that you are applying for and put those job titles in your headline field instead. So if I wasn't working right now, if I was looking for a job, what I would do is say experienced marketing leader, maybe a bracket, VP marketing, bracket, marketing director, bracket, marketing manager. So I'm going to put multiple job titles in there. That's going to help me to come up in more searches by people that are looking for those job titles. Where's the headline field? Let me go into the live. Does it stop when I toggle back over? Just holler if it kicks off again, guys. So if you're in your profile, the headline field, it's the same pencil icon that we clicked on the top. And then we're just going to scroll down, and you're going to see this area that's called headline right here. Okay? Do you want me to do that again? You guys got it?
He has the headline, how you go into edit it.
How do you go into edit it? So click on, if you're watching along, click on the pencil icon. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine is about.
About is a different area. So you're a little bit lower in your profile. So your headline field is data scientist at Ford Motor Company. So what I would do is, in your name, is it Lixing? Yeah. Lixing has on here, what does it say, data scientist at Ford Motor Company. What I would recommend is take out at Ford Motor Company on there.
Okay.
We don't need to be giving credit to our former employers. They don't need to get that visibility for us anymore. And put that job title in, because you still have that experience. They did not take that experience away from you. Regardless if you're being paid for it or not, that experience that you have, right? So put that in, and then think about if there are a couple other job titles that you're targeting in your search, and put those in your headline field. Okay? Question in the back.
Yeah, put the job titles or put the areas of interest?
Think about what you're looking for and what people are going to be searching for on LinkedIn. So when you say areas of interest, can you expand on that a little bit?
So you say digital marketing.
Yep.
That'd be the area.
Sure.
I don't have to write vice president.
You can use a combination of words and phrases as well as job titles in there. Good question. Yeah. Okay. That's good. So he has kind of, describing the job title, and then he has a couple of additional job titles in parentheses next to it. That's perfectly fine. Okay. Is there another question? Yes, Rick?
More characters on the mobile?
Yeah, so were you in the last session when I talked about this? So this is like a little bit more advanced users of LinkedIn. So in our headline field, we have 120 characters total. Only about 80 of them show before it kind of goes ... when it goes in search results. So really focused on the first few words. We can do 120 characters total in our desktop. However, if you have the LinkedIn app on your phone, you can go on your phone and you can add up to 200 total characters. Now, the only thing to think about with that is if I go back in my desktop and make changes again, LinkedIn's going to give me an error message and say you have too many characters in this field. So you've got to kind of toggle it back and forth. So I would just recommend staying to the 120. It keeps it a little bit simpler. But if you're a more advanced user, you can do what Rick has done and add some more characters in there. Okay? Any other questions on headlines? Yes.
Just a quick comment beyond the technical stuff.
Yep.
Get something in there now as close to what you want. You can change it later as your search evolves.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
may not
good
know
point.
really what you want to do, but get something better.
Yeah, put it categorically, because you might put what your last job title was, and you might be a different industry away from that once you kind of land. But yeah, you can change this. Feel free to change it.
If
Yeah.
you're stuck with the definition that LinkedIn offers, you cannot change those definitions.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Okay, you stuck with the positions, titles that LinkedIn offers.
No.
No?
Nope.
What is it?
You can change in your experience section, you can change your job titles. I see his neighbor's going to help him, so I'm going to keep going. Okay, another question.
Do you recommend if you're only looking for part-time work that you add that?
You certainly could. What I might say is marketing director seeking part-time project work. I might put that at the end.
Okay.
In case it gets dropped off and people can't view that on
Yeah,
there.
because I can see where you can add full-time or contract.
Yeah, they
There's no
added
spot
that.
for
I haven't seen how that helps with search results, and I haven't seen how people use it yet in the search. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
add that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my handout here and just kind of mention a couple of other things that are related to this. And in your handout, you see in the headline field, I say, remember search results. And what I want to show you, and I want you guys to practice this technique too, let's say I was looking to recruit for a marketing director, and I search for marketing directors on LinkedIn. So I'm going to type in marketing director in my search field, click on the search results, and then I want to refine the search so that, whoops, didn't work out there, we'll try that again. And I want to refine the search results so that it's only showing people. So when you come up in search results on LinkedIn, this is all that people see. They see your headshot photo, they see your name, they see your headline. There's some other stuff like the city and common connections, but people kind of ignore that. So all we're really seeing as we look at one person to the next, we're looking at that headline field to help to differentiate you. So if all it says is marketing director, that one's marketing director, and that's probably the company MWLC. Director of marketing, marketing director at Biggs and Klopp. So it's not telling me anything that's different. What if it said marketing director specializing in entrepreneurship, or marketing director specializing in engineering technology? So think about using a couple of additional words and phrases and adjectives to help differentiate you when you come up in the search results. Is that making sense? So think about, even I will periodically do this. I will look up other people on LinkedIn that say LinkedIn trainer, LinkedIn coach, LinkedIn consultant, and I'll do a search because I want to see how does my competition look in search results, and what words and phrases are they using in those fields. Okay? And this is going to help to either get them to click on your profile, to go to your profile, or to scroll past you. Okay? And I want to get that profile clicked on. Okay? All right, so that's...
Should you be able to see your own name up?
You will not see your own name. You can have, a friend. Can you look up engineering director and see where I'm coming up in your search results? If they're first level connections to you on LinkedIn and they're interacting with you regularly, you should be at the top of the list. So, yes.
This is like an Amazon desktop question. How do those get ranked there? Certainly not randomly.
I wish I could give you the exact, there's an algorithm that kind of runs in all these networks, and there's a magical formula. In my experience, what I found is that the people that I am first level connections with and that I interact with regularly come up in the top of the search results. Or they also look at how often does that word and phrase appear in their profile. So my guess is if I look at Dave's profile on LinkedIn, he probably has marketing director, he has it in his headline field, he probably has it in his summary, he probably has it in multiple experience sections, he might have it in his skills section or recommendations, he might say marketing director. So he probably is kind of practicing SEO, search engine optimization techniques, and using it multiple times.
There's got to be thousands of marketing directors then.
Right. And you can fine tune the search even. You can, they can put in filters and look at people only in Metro Detroit or only they worked in a certain industry, that kind of thing too. All right, good question there. All right, so we talked about your headline. The next thing I want you to look at, and I'm going to stay in the live environment for this, is your contact information. So look at your profile right now, click on contact info. So whether, if you're on your desktop, it'll be right underneath your headline field. If you're on your phone, you'll have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, okay? So click on contact info, and let's just take a peek and see what is in here right now. If you have listed your former employer in the website section, please take them out, because we don't need to be doing them any favors. We don't work for that company anymore, okay? So click on contact info. If you see your former employer in there, take them out of the website section. Okay? So are you in your profile? Click on contact info. So look at everything else that's listed in there. Make sure that things are accurate. And this is basically what people see when they connect with you on LinkedIn. Okay? If you don't have any websites in there, Mark, do you have a website for the Detroit Transition Cafe?
Yes.
Would you like your attendees around the table to help you promote the organization here?
Sure.
So they could put that website in there, right?
Yep.
So that might be one.
Detroit.transitioncafe.com.
Great.
Can you also put your alma mater?
You can put your alma mater in there. That looks great. I attended Central Michigan for my undergrad and Walsh for my grad degree. I'm sure they would appreciate that I'm giving them some love and visibility. If you belong to any other professional organizations, you could put the professional organizations in there as well.
I don't even see the website.
Probably because you don't have any on here yet, so click on the pencil icon and then click on add website. Okay? Any other questions here? No? Okay.
Where are you on Ed? I guess my hesitation has been because when I wasn't seeking a job, I got a lot of just strange traffic, people.
Yeah. That's personal preference. I mean, this is what I do for a living. I want to make myself accessible, so I list my phone number. And in a job seeking environment, you may want to be accessible but not to the general public, right? So I might lean towards not putting your phone number on your profile unless you're an independent consultant, professional speaker, trainer, you want to be accessible.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes?
Do people actually put their address in here?
Again, I would not put your address in there unless you work for a business that you want people to be able to find the business address that's in there. Or like myself, I work out of the home, but I'm not going to list my home address. So what I put in mine, I think I have based in Macomb County, but working with clients throughout Metro Detroit and nationwide. Based in Macomb County, Michigan, services provided throughout Michigan and online. So I'm a little bit more vague. I don't say 123 Main Street, Macomb, Michigan. I don't put that in there. If you work for a business and you want to make it easy for people to look up your address, you can put that in there though. Okay?
Metro Detroit.
You could, you don't need to because Metro Detroit is already listed elsewhere in your profile.
I find that email address is really sufficient. Even as a consultant, I just have my email address.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I want to screen people a little bit because sometimes if they contact me, that gives me a moment to look them up, say, who is this person before I give them, before I respond to them in some way. So I find even with the type of work I do that an email address is sufficient.
Yeah.
And
So,
again, I'm sorry, Brenda, this is contact info that is visible, not just the first level contacts, right?
your contact info, the only thing that's visible if I'm not your connection, I don't think there's very much information that's visible in there at all. I think it's really the first level connections when they can see, I think they can see if I'm not connections is your URL. Once your connections, then you can see their email address and a couple of pieces of information in there.
So that could help you feel a little more comfortable about self-reference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, so we got a choice to make. It's 4:10. So I can either keep going and stop the questions. Is that okay? Okay, but we still have to go through posting and then invitations right now. So if it's okay, I'm going to ask that we stop questions, and then we'll open it back up to questions at the end. I can stay, but I want to be respectful if anybody needs to leave at 4:30 that we get through the content. Does that sound fair? Okay, keep going. All right, so finishing off in your profile, a couple things in here. Let's look at your About section. So some of you may not have anything in on your profile because you've not written anything yet. But if you have anything in there, what I would say is look at your About statement right now. Do not click on See More. Just look and see what are the first 3 lines. Are those compelling enough to get you to want to click on See More? Okay. What I look for there is written in the first person. So it's not the same thing that's at the top of your resume. I wouldn't say experienced marketing manager seeking to make a career change. I would say I'm a passionate marketer and I love helping companies get results. So when we went around the room and we kind of all described ourselves with our elevator pitch, that's what I like to see in your About statement. A little bit more of a personal story about yourself, a blend of your experiences and background. Tell us what you're looking for in your next career and how previous positions have helped to qualify you for that next step. Okay? So the About is right underneath your headline field. It should be right underneath here. It should say About. If you're not seeing it, it may be because you don't have that loaded up on your profile, and then you'll have to add that profile section in. Okay? All right, so what I'll say here on the About statement is 2,000 characters total to tell us your story. Most people will not click on See More. The right people will if you've captured their attention. Okay? So look and see, are those first 3 lines interesting and intriguing? And then really try to focus in on keeping the meaty stuff in those, or at least a little bit of substance in those first 3 lines. And then feel free to look at my profile. This is what I do for a living. So I've expanded out my summary statement. I've used almost all 2,000 characters. You're going to see a couple techniques on my profile. I do short paragraphs. I do all caps for section headings. I do bulleted lists to make it a little bit easier to read. And then I also put some media in my profile, so you can upload documents, PDFs, pictures, website links, that type of thing. I would not recommend that you upload your resume onto your LinkedIn profile. The reason being, I want to know who has a copy of my resume, because there's certain jobs I don't want. And my resume also might have my home address on it, and I don't want everybody having my home address. Okay? So if you have your resume on your profile, I would recommend you take it off. I think if it's on there, it screams desperation. And you don't want to be that accessible. You want to be a little bit more selective.
So
okay?
in the contact info also under address, I have my home address.
I would take it out.
How do you know if your resume is on? Because my experience
Your resume, is it uploaded as a PDF or uploaded as a Word document?
So my experience has all of that.
That's fine,
information.
that's fine. Just like don't upload it as a document, that's what I'm saying in there. Okay? All right, so scrolling down, the next thing I look at in your profile, go down to your experience section right now. And you know, this is always kind of a tricky subject. When I've left an employer, do I put an end date? You know, and usually I think there's kind of a window of like maybe up to 6 months to a year where people may not put an end date on there because you don't want to show that you're not working at all, right? Some people put an end date and then they might put, like I put Meller Marketing Consulting, and then I explained it by saying, while I'm looking for my next full-time position, I'm staying active in the marketing community by offering project work and pro bono advice as a marketer, right? And I kind of explained it and then it didn't show up in there, okay? For your other employers, what I would recommend is that you start each of your employers with a 1 to 2 sentence description of the company. Then, similar to what you have in a resume, list your job title and maybe a couple of key accomplishments or description of what you did in the role. Okay? And you can also upload projects in here, media. You can put if you're a named employee of the month or you got a certificate or, you know, team photos, that type of thing would kind of demonstrate your expertise and some of the achievements in those roles. Okay?
In general, would you say that your resume and your LinkedIn profile should be synced up?
I think they should be similar, but I think, you know, resume, your goal is to find a job. Your LinkedIn profile right now might be goal to find a job, but then over time it's really to keep active as a professional networker, and you may not want to put everything in there.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm thinking once I land, I'll skinny down my profile.
Yeah, yeah.
But for now, same
I
thing?
think for now you could sync that up. There's no harm in doing so. And you do have some characters where you can kind of describe in each of the about sections for your experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, I like this point about after landing, you want to boil it down because in many job sites, if you're going online in the application, you can upload from LinkedIn.
Right, you can. Yeah.
So
it makes it a little bit easier.
It makes it, yeah. And I have found that because those online application websites are so tedious,
yes,
that where they offer you an opportunity
Absolutely.
to upload from LinkedIn, that mapping is going to be much better and more efficient and effective than trying to upload your resume.
Yeah, good point.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you're not spending all that time. It just autofill from LinkedIn.
Keep it clean. And then after you land, boil it down.
Then you can boil it down. All right, so moving down now, after your experience section, I want you guys to scroll down to the section that's called skills and endorsements. So scroll down to that section. And what you're going to see is it shows you your top 3 skills first. Do not click on show more. Most people are not going to click on show more. They're just going to look at your top 3 skills and they're going to make a judgment call about you. And if you say your expertise is in engineering and leadership and sustainability, but your top 3 skills are Excel and project management and marketing, that's not syncing up exactly. So you can reorder those. What you want to do is if you click on that pencil icon, that will take you into your skills section.
Yeah.
And then what you can do there is actually unpin the 3 that are listed at the top, and you can pin others in its place. Okay? So look at those top 3 skills. Are those the top 3 skills you want to be known for?
I might not do it yet.
Okay? Also in this section, you have up to 50 skills that you can add. I would say put 50 in there. If you're struggling with coming up with 50 skills, look at other people who hold your job title. You'll get some ideas from them. Or as you're applying for jobs, if it says like a list of required skills, look through that list and you go, oh, I can add that in my LinkedIn skills section too. It's an easy way to think about that. Okay? It's helping? Making sense? Okay. Gonna keep going then. So recommendations. How many people have recommendations on their LinkedIn profile? Does anybody have recommendations? So look at your recommendations right now. What I like to look for in your recommendation section, a couple of things here. There's received and given. Which way does it go? It says received and given. I like to see that you've given more than you received. Why? Think about the signal that sends about you. If I look at Rick's profile and Rick has been given 20 recommendations and he hasn't given 1, what message does it send me about Rick? The flip side of that, if Rick has given 25 recommendations and he's received 5, what message does that send me about Rick?
We got to fix that.
I mean, I like to see a couple more in the given than in the received. If you've never given a recommendation, think right now about who you could give a recommendation to. It could be people that lead up a networking group that you are a part of that help you in your search. Hint, hint, Mark and Priscilla in the back of the room. It could be fellow job seekers that you've been networking with that are good resources that have offered to exchange referrals. It could be people you serve on boards with. It could be former team members, former bosses, people in the community. So think about people you can pay that forward to, okay? And now let's talk about the awkward requesting recommendations from people. If you don't have anything current in this year, I would say let's try to get 1 or 2 recommendations. So think about the people that when you left your job, they said, hey Brenda, if there's anything you need, let me know. I love working with you. You're awesome. You're going to land someplace else. Those are the first people I go to. And I would say, hey Jim, remember when you offered any help, could you give me a LinkedIn recommendation, tell people what I'd like to work with as a marketer? That would really help me out. For the people in the room that are independent consultants and working for yourself, when you have a client engagement and people are jumping up and down and they love working with you, that's the time where you say, hey, would you mind giving me a LinkedIn recommendation? Because that will help you to book future work. Okay? So to summarize here, I look for at least 1 in each category. Try to have more given than you've received. And then the last point here is be strategic about who you give and accept these from. If there's somebody that I work with which was kind of an unseedy character, I'm not going to accept their recommendation because like attracts like and people are going to associate with that person. Okay? I'm also going to try to give recommendations to people who have large networks, whose words mean something and whose profiles can help to give me some additional profile views. Does that make sense? So people who are active on LinkedIn, who are heads of organizations, that type of thing. Okay?
If you have really old recommendations, should you go and delete them?
Why? I wouldn't. I mean, I have recommendations on here back from 2006. I guess my personal philosophy on that is if you're going to spend the time reading through all my recommendations, you're spending time on my profile, right? I mean, there's been a couple recommendations I've received where I'm like, it was nice of them to do that, but I'm going to hide it on my profile because it wasn't really substantive, and Brenda's a nice person. She makes a great cup of coffee. Like, what was that? I'm not going to show that on my profile. But I like to think about, even when I'm working, asking for and giving a couple recommendations every year, because that's a surefire flag to me when I see somebody's profile lighting up with recommendations or thinking about making a move, right? So keep those ongoing. All right, so that covers your profile. Now let's talk about posting on LinkedIn. And I like to think about the effort of getting active on LinkedIn and getting something out of LinkedIn. It's the same concept of having a checking account. So I've got a 14-year-old son, Joshua, and I recently got Joshua an account at our bank. And he got one of those cards. And he's like, cool, now I can spend money. And I'm like, well, that's not how it works. You got to put money into the account in order to be able to take money out. It's not just there. So think about LinkedIn the same way. You've got to pay it forward and make contributions into your network in order for you to start to see some of the dividends back on that. So for that reason, the very first thing I like to do when I go onto LinkedIn is, even before I post actually, I like to scroll through my homepage feed. And I look for a couple things that I might make a like on, the little applause or the thumbs up, so I might like a couple things. And then I'll look for maybe 2 to 3 posts where I make a comment on them. Okay? When I make a comment, I try to do so with 5 or more words. The reason being, the algorithm likes to see conversations. So if a post is getting a lot of engagement with long comments, it stays in the homepage feed longer and a lot more people get to see that post. If a post gets 0 engagement, it quickly collapses down and buries and nobody sees it. Okay, so I like to pay it forward, help my network first, like, and make a couple comments. Then I will post on LinkedIn. Okay, so how many of you have posted this week on LinkedIn yet? Anybody? Okay. So I would encourage you, let's post now. Practice this technique right now. And you could say something like, just making this up, attending an outstanding LinkedIn training session led by Brenda Meller, learning new strategy tips as I'm seeking my new position. Something along those lines, or just attending a LinkedIn workshop led by Brenda Meller. Thank you Mark Corey, who would tag Mark, and Priscilla Archangel, tagging her for booking her. Really enjoyed the session today, something like that. Okay? Why do we want to post and why would we want to share something like that? Because when we post on LinkedIn, then we appear in the homepage feed and people will see our name and they might click on our profile and they might go, oh, Bob's looking for a new job. Actually, he's looking for something in XYZ industry. I can refer Bob for that. So it's helping you with your visibility. Okay? So what I would recommend is try to post something today, and I'll encourage you again, if you have your camera with you, you can take a picture of me presenting, and you can post that. And the post is not about you and being in career transition. The post is about you're at an event today and you saw somebody presenting on LinkedIn. It's just putting some information out there to use as a conversation starter. And if you post on LinkedIn and if you tag me in the photograph on LinkedIn, I will reply back and I will say, what's your name, sir? Monsieur? I will say, thank you, Monsieur, for the photo and the tag. And I'll say, for anyone in a network reading this post, I encourage you to visit Monsieur's profile and then send him an invitation to connect. Tell him Brenda sent you. So I'm going to send some traffic your way. The cool thing about tagging on LinkedIn is that when you tag people on LinkedIn, it goes into their homepage feed. So you get the benefit of my, I think I'm around 12,000 or so connections, so you get the benefit of my connections seeing your name in my feed. And when I comment on your post, you'll get a little burst in profile views as a result of that. Okay? Optional, take a picture and do it, or you can just tag me in the post. I'll look later on for any comments that are made with tags to me or mentions of my names, and I will comment back to you, and I will encourage people to visit your profile. Sound good?
So just by putting @Brenda.
Yep.
you're good
So
with it.
if you start typing it in @Brenda Meller, it should populate my name in the drop down, and then when you see my name, click on it, and then it should add it into the feed there.
Just really
Yes.
quick with that,
Yeah.
look at the bottom of your screen, because sometimes on mine, or on the phone or on my laptop,
Yep.
you won't see that pop-up box.
Right.
Scroll your screen down, make sure you see
Make
it.
sure you see it. And if I see that you're trying to tag me, if it doesn't work, I'll message you. And the cool thing is when you post on LinkedIn, after you post, if the tag doesn't work correctly, you can just click on those little 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, and you can edit the post, and you can fix the tag there too. Another question?
Just real quick, is there
Yeah.
anything going on with engagement? Because I used to get a lot, and a few
Yeah.
of my buddies, all of a sudden now, we're going from hundreds and thousands to
Yeah.
thousands of eaches.
Yeah, LinkedIn has done some changes behind the scenes. They're not telling us what happened. What I have heard is they took out a bunch of fake accounts. So I think, I don't know how many millions of users they wiped out, which were not real profiles, or were people replicating profiles and activity on LinkedIn. Do we need to start wrapping here, Mark? So something did happen with that.
Something did happen,
Yeah.
okay, good.
Okay, so I'm going to, there's just some posts on LinkedIn. If you're struggling with what the posts, I've got some post ideas. So I'm just going to quickly go through as we wrap this up. Finding a job on LinkedIn. You guys know about the obvious area of searching a job. Couple things that you may not be thinking about. Groups on LinkedIn will frequently post jobs. Look inside groups. Sometimes in your homepage feed, people will share job postings. They're not in the job section, these are just in the feed. Look for those. Ambulance chasing, Rick, you probably remember me talking about this before. When you see those notifications that say, congratulate so-and-so on obtaining a new job, look at their profile because the company they just left is probably hiring. You know the ambulance chasing philosophy, the lawyers go after the ambulances because that's their next client. I do the same thing on LinkedIn, like look at their profiles because job opportunities are opening up there. Can we finish off with invitations? Okay. So this Inigo Montoya example will help you from this moment forward to think about when you send out an invitation to connect on LinkedIn, I always want you to include a personal note. The formula that he uses is, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die. Now please do not tell people that you're going to die when you connect with them on LinkedIn. But the formula here is polite greeting, name, a relevant personal link, and managing expectations. The formula I like to use is hi, first name, have we met or not. If we have met, I remind people where. If not, I find 1 or 2 things from their profile that we have in common or that are interesting to me about their profile. I don't say, I'm looking for a new job, here's my resume, can you help me out? I don't do that in an invitation to connect. The goal of an invitation is to get that invitation accepted, okay? So I want you to practice this technique right now. If you are not yet connected with me, go onto my profile on LinkedIn. I'm one of the people that has the follow button instead of connect, so you're gonna have to look for the more button, okay? So if you could look me up on LinkedIn right now, Brenda Meller, M-E-L-L-E-R. If you see follow instead, click at the more button on there. When you see the more that's popping up, you want to add a note, I think it says in here, click more and then personalize invitation or connect. Okay? If you're already connected with me, find one of your neighbors to connect with before you leave here today. Same formula that we're going to use here. Hi, John. We met at Detroit Transition Cafe. Great to meet you today. Let's connect on LinkedIn, and then sign with your name. Okay? So from this moment forward, try to include that personalized note in your invitation to connect. I guarantee you're going to see more of those invitations accepted. And then if you're trying to make that connection related to a job after they've accepted the invitation, then you might say, hey, I'm looking for positions right now and I see you have some openings at your company. Would you be open to chatting about that sometime? Now, once you've got them accepting that invitation, they're a little bit more open to continuing on that dialogue. Okay? All right, guys, I think we're out of time, so I'm going to skip through here. I have some homework for you up on the screen, and I don't know if you noticed I brought a pie with me today. So what I'm going to do is I have a hat. So if you would like a chance at the pie here today, just put your name on a slip of paper, or if you've got a business card, drop your business card in the hat. And then as we're doing questions, this will go around, and then I'll draw for the winner. So you can have an apple pie to take home with you today. Okay? I'll start passing that around if that's okay. And then I'm going to stop the video here.